皆さんお疲れ様です and welcome to Beyond the Dojo. How are you guys doing? So before I jump into today's main topic, I'd like to share with you some very exciting news, I guess I should say. My online lessons, as I've been explained to you before, they're held on Monday mornings in Japan time and also Saturday evenings. But just around, I think it was maybe the end of 2025 or the beginning of this year, 2026, I was actually granted permission to hold the Shinkagiryu Hoganha class as well. Okay, and yeah, let me briefly explain what this is too before I get into the main topic. So if you jump to my Patreon page now, you can tell that on Sunday mornings from 8 a.m., I actually added another class which is called the Wakizashi and Tanto class. Now, to be a little bit more specific, to a little bit more exact, I should say. Yeah. Wakizashi and Tanto are the two weapons that we will be training in this class, but we will be training with the Daito, the Uchikatana, as well. The thing is, there's actually one Ryuha style. Well, there's actually two Ryuha styles that's incorporated into Asayama Ichiden-ryu. But there's one Ryuha style that's added into Asayama Ichiden-ryu called Shinkagiryu Hoganha. Okay? Shinkagiryu Hoganha was added to Asayama Ichiden-ryu during the 21st headmaster's generation, Osaki Sensei, which is the current headmaster, Seki Sensei. The last headmaster of Shinkagiryu Hogaha, Tanimura Sensei, wasn't able to find a successor. Not exactly sure the reason why. I've heard that there were a few students who were training in Shinkagiryu Hogaha at that time, but maybe he wasn't able to find someone who he can 100% trust to carry on Shinkagiryu Hogaha. Not very sure about the exact reason, but he decided to ask Asayama Ichiden-ryu to carry down Shinkagiryu Hogaha for him. So what happened is that Osaki Sensei and Tanimura Sensei, the last headmaster of Shinkagiryu Hogaha, were originally friends, and the last headmaster thought that, oh, I can't find someone who would carry on the Ryuha for me, so he asked his friend, Osaki Sensei, would it be possible if your Ryuha could carry down my Ryuha for me, or for us? Okay. So currently, Asayama Ichiden-ryu has two Ryuha styles that are added into the teachings. Number one is Muhiryu Iaijutsu, and the other one is Shinkagiryu Hogaha. Muhiryu Iaijutsu, I don't want to be telling you any false information. Muhiryu Iaijutsu was fully incorporated into Asayama Ichiden during the 19th headmaster, I believe. Please, I'm really sorry if I'm wrong. Yeah, I don't want to be 100% sure, but I believe it was during the 19th headmaster. And then Shinkagiryu Hogaha was added to Asayama Ichiden during the 21st headmaster. And you might have heard of Shinkagiryu before, but it's one of the what should I say, big branches of the Ryuha styles in Iai, Kenjutsu, and such. There's a lot of should I say, branches and styles that are based on Shinkagiryu, but Shinkagiryu Hogan is one of them, and Hogan is one of the titles during the samurai era. They were one of the government officials, so rather high-ranking samurais, basically. So Shinkagiryu Hogan was a Ryuha style that were trained by high-ranking samurais in the past. So a lot of the ways that you dress, a lot of techniques are based on what they would train in the past. So that is actually incorporated in Asayama Ichiden currently. And the standing Iai kata, we train them in the regular Iai classes in Asayama Ichiden's online lessons too. And so Shinkagiryu Hogaha actually has wakizashi techniques. It also has the tanto techniques. So because there's too many techniques we already practice in the regular Asayama Ichiden Iai classes, we wanted to create a separate class that will focus on solely on Shinkagiryu Hogaha techniques. And we're going to be starting one class in the Tsukara Sensei and Kurosawa Sensei online lessons, which are the two assistant instructors of Asayama Ichiden, the two black belts. And Seki Sensei also gave me permission to hold the class as well. So I'll be starting that from this year, actually. So I really hope you can look forward to it. I'm very, very excited. Last year, we actually had held these special Sunday classes, 2 months each, and we did the seated Uchikatana Iai kata, we did the wakizashi, we did the tanto, and so many people joined, and it was very, very exciting learning how to use, the different lengths, these different types of katanas. They all have very, unique techniques depending on how long the weapons are and all that kind of stuff. So it was really, really fun learning them. But finally, we actually get to learn them in long term, not just a couple of months. So I'm very, very excited. I just wanted to let you guys know about that, first of all. And I've actually just recently wrote an article explaining a little bit more about what Shinkagiryu Hogaha is and the relationships between Asayama Ichiden-ryu and such. So it'd be great if you check that out as well. So to make a long story short, so if you're interested in learning not just the Uchikatana techniques, but also in wakizashi and tanto and such, I currently hold a class. It'd be great if you could check it out. It's held on Sunday mornings, 8 a.m. in Japan time. One more great news. I believe I have not talked about this in Beyond the Dojo yet, but the in-person training that I hold at the Kyoto Dojo in Kyoto here, we started training also on Thursdays as well. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I couldn't wait. Yeah, I think I talked a little bit about that. Once we have more students, we'll be adding more trainings to the week and such. But I was like, you know what? I think we should just jump right into it. So currently, we hold trainings on Tuesdays and also on Thursday nights in Japan time. So 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. Both on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we hold training at Dance Space Cell. So if you ever have a chance to come to Kyoto, or if you're living in Kyoto, it'd be great if you can check out our training. We're gradually having more and more people. I'm very happy that around the end of this year, the beginning of this year, I met a lot of people, because I had some time off of the online lessons and such. So I had a lot of chances to meet some people, some old friends and such. And I was very happy that one of the senpais that I used to work with in izakaya when I was a college student, yeah, he decided to join the dojo. There was one gentleman who was running a guest house in Kyoto who was interested in joining too, and a few other people have been contacting us as well. Maybe two or three more people might actually be joining us. Hopefully, they'll all be coming, and then if they all join, we'll almost have about 10 people. So I'm very, very excited that this is still our first month that we officially started as a dojo. We're almost about to have 10 people, so this is very, very exciting. Just want to let you know about these two things first. Okay, now with that said, guys, there's one thing I want to talk to you about. Please let me know your ideas in the comments. This is something, for me at least, is something very serious to discuss about. And it's about, of course, Budo. But when you, for example, are training in Budo, and let's say you talk about it, you make content about it, if you're, for example, an instructor or, a senpai and such, I'm sure you would often come across, my fellow branch leaders in Asayama Ichiden-ryu will probably come across these opinions too. But, I don't feel that we have to, what should I say, debate with anyone or anything. It's unnecessary, but I still believe that we should have answers within ourselves at least. And the discussion is always about, is Kobudo like realistic? Is it actually useful? Work on the streets kind of thing. That stuff happens, right? Now, what should I say? There are people who just don't like Budo in general, and they always believe that self-defense techniques is like the top priority. If it doesn't work on the streets, it's useless kind of thing. I don't think discussing with such people is is it meaningful in the first place, because they probably aren't trying to fully understand in the first place. But there are people who genuinely want to ask, like, why are you training in Budo? So what is it for if it's not actually usable in real life kind of thing? So my answer, I've been thinking about how I should, if I ever ask this, how I would answer. And when it comes to kata trainings and such, it's the forms, and both people who are participating in the Kenjutsu kata, for example, or more than two people, all know what's going to happen, right? Yeah, so like people who are training, for example, in HEMA and such, I have a lot of friends who are training in HEMA too. They always ask me, like, why doesn't Asayama Ichiden do pressure testing and things like that too? So all of these put together, this is what I want to talk about to you guys with you today. One thing I've got to myself, my answer is that the famous Miyamoto Musashi and his Book of Five Rings, in the Book of Earth, I think, is that the way you said it in English? Yeah, the Book of Earth, Chinomaki. Around the beginning, I believe it was, he talks about that he finally understood what Budo is about. He finally felt that what Budo was finally completed within him when he was in his 50s or so. Yeah, so 50s, 60s, I believe. But Miyamoto Musashi won all of those duels, fighting, people, 60 duels when he was in his 20s, right? Yeah. Well, he was really, really strong when he was younger. Why didn't he believe that he was, what should I say, accomplished as a Budoka at that point? Now, he wrote in the Book of Five Rings that, no. When I was in my 20s, no, I was not. I was far away from the path of Budo. Yeah, I was very, very far away. The only reason I was able to win those 60 duels was because I was lucky. Okay, I was lucky, so I was able to win those 60 duels, but that's it. I wasn't what should I say? An authentic, no, how should I say it in English? Like an authentic, true Budoka yet. I finally felt that I was when I got to my 50s, 60s, creating my own Ryuha styles and such. And that's when I finally felt that I was fully accomplished. So what this means is, I really feel, to make a long story short, guys, I really feel that Budo, well, at least Asayama Ichiden-ryu too, is that it's a field of academic study. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's not about if actually two people, like randomly, person A, person B, they fight and who actually wins or not. It's more about, if you train in Asayama Ichiden-ryu, guys, listening to this, I'm sure you train in Asayama Ichiden-ryu, I think it's more of a study of when a bokuto or a katana, whatever it is, comes towards you. If you use your bokuto to block at this angle and push toward this angle, push back at this angle, this effect happens. It's almost like you're trying to find, it's really close to math. Does that make sense? You're trying to find like a formula, between these two physically. When these two, it's like physics, when these two weapons, strike against each other, their weapons go this way. If you change your katana to this angle, then the angle of the back of the katana, the mina side, the shinogi will let the blade come off of this side. So if you turn back immediately when that happens, your katana will be hitting them, but their katana won't. Or if you train Asayama Ichiden-ryu, we know that if you pass your katana in front of this part of the opponent's body, because they're human, they will naturally react, they'd be scared because they have the weapon in front of their eyes, then in that moment, you finish the fight by cutting their wrists. These, what should I say? I guess it's really close to math, just like they said. It's not about if this person and this person fights, let's see who wins. It's about finding a effect, finding a result that would always happen. Does that make sense, guys? I'm really sorry. My English is really poor. My vocabulary is really poor to be able to completely explain what I'm trying to say here. I really hope you're kind of able to pick up what I'm trying to say from my poor English, but I really feel that Budo is kind of like this. That's the reason why a lot of the, like even Seki Sensei says, whether two people, if they actually fight, whoever wins is not about what Asayama Ichiden-ryu is. That's up to that individual's experience, that individual's courage, grit, all these kind of things. Asayama Ichiden-ryu is a form of mathematics almost. So, and it's a way of how to solve math problems in which way kind of thing. So that's my answer to Budo training. So I really feel that what you prefer is fighting, punching, kicking, beating someone up and putting them out on the ground, if that's what you want to do. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing or anything. Of course, I know a lot of people who like watching, martial arts, let's say, boxing or, what do you call them? Stuff like that. It's totally fine, of course. But I personally feel Budo is more like in field of academic study. So it's more towards people who their mindsets is like, I want to study more. Does that make sense? It's not about I want to win more. It's more I want to study more, and deepen the study. And the moment when you learn that this movement creates this effect is interesting. If you feel that way, I think Budo is meant for you. Does that make sense? So basically each kata that's brought down in Asayama Ichiden-ryu is almost like a formula, in math. Formula is the right word, right? To try to be able to know the area of a triangle, you multiply this and divide it by 2 kind of thing, So learning the katas is almost like that, And I also thought of this example as well. So because of that, I feel, let's say, Budo is, if you compare it with the field of music, let's say, okay? There are people who can go out in the streets and create their own music on the spot, and just immediately play a beautiful piece randomly with musicians on the street. That's amazing too. That would probably go viral on social media or stuff like that, Street piano performances, guitar, violin, stuff like that. It's beautiful. But people who study old, ancient music, like from a few hundred years ago, and they would always do the same music over and over, like classical music and stuff like that too, right? So it's almost like you're going up to someone who has been studying classical music their whole life and saying that, well, yeah, old stuff, okay, yeah, whatever about old stuff. People, you got to go out in the streets and do your music, man, kind of stuff like that. And of course, the important thing is, people who are really, dedicating their whole life to music and doing classical music, for example, they probably are capable of going out in the streets and, suddenly creating their own music. Yeah, because they have the logic inside themselves, right? They know how good music are formed because they've been studying all those old music, ancient style music, that's been carried down for centuries. Because they've been studying so many different pieces, they understand there's a logic between all of these beautiful pieces that that touches people's hearts, right? So, yeah, they could probably satisfy people on the streets too, but what they're trying to do is completely different, right? Does that make sense? Do they have to satisfy people on the streets? The answer is probably no, because that's completely different. I feel like training in Budo and making it work, on free sparring and stuff like that is kind of like that. That's the reason why Seki Sensei says, okay, so just because training mat cutting, Shizan, Tameshigiri, and doing fukuro shinai training, we call jigeko, yeah, it's definitely not the mainstream of Asayama Ichiden-ryu's training. But is it something that we should just say, we're not going to do it at all, I've never tried it before, and even if I try to do it, I can't do it. Is this okay? Then he said no. Yeah. Of course, it's not our mainstream. We don't train it mainly, but if you need to do it, you should be able to do it. Okay? That's the same for both Tameshigiri and both for the Fukuro Shinai training, he said before. Okay? So I think that's really close to that too. So yeah, it's almost like you're, going up to a what's the word? Right? Linguistic researcher, person who's studying languages, not, and you're going up to a person who is studying languages. Oh my gosh, there's a really interesting, indigenous people, that was speaking this kind of language. Oh, this is really interesting. And you go up to that person who's researching languages and going up to them, you're wasting your time. Go out in public and speak, do a public speech, That's what languages is about. I mean, I'm pretty sure if they're researchers, they need to, of course, talk about their research. So they might be capable of speaking in front of people, or maybe going out on the streets and randomly, suddenly interviewing people. They might be able to do that, but do they have to do it? No. Of course, if you're a researcher of languages, of course, you do need to be able to express, explain what you've studied. So you do need that skill too. But is that their main thing to do? No. Their main thing, their passion, their love is towards studying languages, Oh my gosh, there's a few hundred languages in this country originally. What were the original ones? How did it happen? Like, why would the brain, be able to understand this language even though it's so difficult, What's what's so special about these group of people? So on and so forth. How did the environment affect their brains, and how did this language was born? All that kind of stuff, So it's almost like, again, going up to them and telling them to go and speak with people on the streets. I feel that is really close to asking people who are training in Budo to make the techniques work on the streets, kind of thing. I really hope I'm making myself clear. Yeah, again, the reason why I'm bringing this topic up in this podcast right now is because I want to hear your opinions, guys. Again, this podcast is not a place where I come up to you like an instructor, like professor or something, and just explain, presenting what I've been doing, all that kind of stuff. I want to hear your opinions. That's why I want this to be more of a community. Okay? Could you, because you guys love Budo, right? Because I love Budo too. What would your answers be to these kind of questions? Or sometimes, yeah, there are some people who are negative and have negative opinions towards Budo in general. And of course, we don't have to debate with them. Yes, we should just continue doing what we love, what we're proud of. That's totally fine. But at the same time, though, somewhere inside our minds and hearts, we should have an answer. So yeah, that's why I always think about this as well. I do want to be able to reply to them if it was necessary, just like going back to the story of Ichiden-ryu's Tameshigiri and Fukuro Shinai training and such. But yeah, that's the reason why I personally feel Budo training is a lot of fun. I love, for example, reading books. I love studying in general. Learning. I think that's what what makes Japanese traditional culture great in the first place. It's so deep, and you can continue studying about it, and it just goes deeper and deeper and deeper. That's the same for my tea ceremony training too. By tilting this tool at this angle from the guest's point of view, it looks like a flower of the season. It looks like you're more relaxed, even though from your actual feeling it feels a little bit tense, but from their angle, it actually feels a lot more relaxed, for example, stuff like that. That's a form of study. Yeah. And I think that's what makes Budo beautiful too, just like all the other Japanese traditional cultures. So that's my answer, sort of, to this question. Yeah. What would your answer be? What would be the topic of today's podcast? Okay. Yeah, thinking about this, and I know that my members of the Kyoto Dojo in the future will be asked these questions too. Yeah, and one more thing before I go. Yeah, there's also people who ask me like, why do you do kobudo, for example? You can't even use it anymore. You're not even able to walk outside with a katana on your waist anymore. You have to hide it inside a bag to go outside in Japan. Why the heck are you doing it? Yeah, in the past I thought about a lot of things. Yeah, okay, well, it's to make yourself a better person. That's what a lot of modern Budo would say, right? Yeah, to build character, refine you make you a better person, all that kind of stuff. But again, if you watch a video on Seki Sensei, Seki Sensei, the previous, the 21st headmaster, the previous headmaster of Asayama Ichiden-ryu, he said that, no, Budo does not make you a better person. It's the other way around. If you hand kobudo to the wrong people, yeah, their arrogance is just going to grow, and it's going to make their personality worse. Yeah, and I understand that. Yeah, it's not just Budo. If you hand someone who doesn't have the right mindset, who doesn't have the right heart, more power, more status, it just makes everything worse, right? I think that's the same for Budo. So my answer to why are you training in kobudo, I've been thinking a lot about a lot of things in the past. I made videos in the past about a lot of stuff, but now my answer to you is because I love it. Nothing more. Why do I need to explain anyone any more than this? Yeah. Why do I do Budo? Because I love it. That's it. I can't help myself train Budo. I love it. Yeah. Where else would I rather be than be in the dojo? Yes, maybe with my kids, with my family, but that's it though. Other than that, I love to be in the dojo, constantly training with everyone. Yeah, always discussing about, wait, so how would this technique work better if it was between someone who is taller, someone who's shorter, yeah, someone who is faster, someone who move a little bit slower? How would the timing be different? I would want to continue discussing and studying about these techniques. What did the people few hundred years ago think about? Why did they leave this kata? Why did they put this kata in the okuden category and not in this category? Why did they want the students in the future to learn this kata, this timing, but not at that timing? Something like that. For me, that's so exciting. There's no other way to explain it. And I know that there's so many people will feel the same. Yeah. You don't always have to explain why you love something. It's the same with people too. My wife, Harumi, you guys know about Harumi, right? She's the designer that makes the thumbnails of this podcast too. Yeah, she does the website creating. She does the video editing with me. Why do I like? A lot of people ask me like, Shogo, you've been, married and having kids, and of course I love Harumi very much. But my friends, like, I met them around the end of the year, beginning of this year. And people, they were like, Shogo, you get along with your wife so much. Like, what's the secret? Why do you love her so much? The answer is because my wife is there. Because she exists. Yes. Why do I need to have words to explain these things? So that's what I feel for saying for Budo as well. Yeah. But it would be great if you could let me know your answer. Of course, I totally understand if you have like specific episodes, like you were living this kind of life. I have many friends who had explained to me before I was living this kind of life, but after I started Budo, this changed me like this way. And I can explain it that way too, to be honest. But after going round and around in this topic inside my head so many times, I got to the conclusion that from now on, no matter who or how they ask me, I'm just gonna say that I love Budo very much. There's nothing more. Just my soul, my body, my mind, everything craves Budo, and that's it. That's the only reason why. Craves Budo, I should say more specifically craves Asayama Ichiden-ryu, but that's the only reason why. And anyway, guys, thank you so much for your time today, too. It would be great if you could let me know your opinions in the comments, or you can send me messages anytime. By the way, guys, you might have noticed, but I did start a new Instagram account specifically for the Kyoto Dojo of Asayama Ichiden-ryu Hyoho. So if you haven't checked it out yet, it'd be great if you can check it out. I always write short paragraphs in the on each post, and I share some of the clips of the dojo training that you are watching right now, as in this podcast too. So it'd be great if you could check it out. And if you have any questions or any opinions you'd like to share with me, you can send me messages on Instagram too. Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast too. I will see you in the next episode. 皆さんどうもありがとうございました. And I'll see you in the next training. Bye bye.